Good afternoon again. Today we're going to work with two-step equations. We're only going to focus on solving and checking our equations. Number 1, 4x minus 7 equals 37. Okay, first identify your variable term, which is 4x. We want to get rid of a minus 7, so we are going to add its opposite to both sides. So I'm going to add 7 to both sides. Negative 7 plus 7 is going to add to 0. I'm going to simplify. 4x minus 0 is 4x. And 37 plus 7 is 44. Here I'm going to identify that I need my coefficient to be 1. So the inverse operation of multiply by 4 is going to be divide both sides by 4. 4 divided by 4 equals 1. And when I simplify, I'm going to get x equals 11. Now, you should never stop there. You should go back and rewrite your original equation, putting in your solution where the variable is. Keep seeming to be moving things. That goes here. And then go ahead and see if the left-hand side equals the right-hand side. So 44 minus 7 equals 37. 37 equals 37. And that checks out. All right, number 2, we have 3x plus 9 equals 6. Okay, I'm going to always start by circling my variable term so I know what I need to get rid of. I want to get rid of a plus 9, so I minus 9 on both sides. That adds to 0. When I simplify, 3x equals negative 3. This time I want to undo a multiply by 3, so I need to divide both sides by 3. And I'm going to get, well, actually this will be 3 divided by 3 will go to 1. And so 3 divided by, negative 3 divided by 3 is negative 1. So when I simplify, I should get x equals negative 1. Then 3 times something plus 9 equals 6. I'm going to check my answer, which was negative 1, by substituting it in. That's negative 3 plus 9 equals 6. Negative 3 plus 9 is 6. 6 equals 6. And it checks out. Okay? Number 3 is going to be 8 minus 9y equals 35. My variable term is negative 9y. The minus sign should always go to the number or term behind it. So I want to get rid of the 8. So the opposite of a plus 8 is going to be a minus 8 on both sides. 8 and a negative 8 will add to 0. When I simplify, I'm going to get a negative 9y equals, and 35 minus 8 would be 1727 maybe. Let me check. It's 27. All right, then I'm going to make my coefficient 1. Right now I'm multiplying by a negative 9, so I need to divide by a negative 9 to undo it. Negative 9 divided by negative 9 is going to go to 1. When I simplify that, I'm going to get y equals 27 divided by negative 9 is a negative 3. Again, I'm not going to say that's my answer till I check it. Remember to check it. I write my equation, except where the variable is, I put my solution. And then I do order of operations on the left-hand side. So this becomes 8 plus 27 equals 35. 35 equals 35, and that's a check. All right, let's look at number 4. Number 4 is 7x minus 12 equals 2. So my variable term is going to be 7x. I need to get rid of a minus 12, so I'm going to add 12 to both sides. Negative 12 plus 12 adds to 0. I'm going to simplify. I'm going to get 7x equals 14. I want the x to have a coefficient of 1. Right now it's being multiplied by 7, so I need to do the inverse operation on both sides. So I'm going to divide both sides by 7. 7 divided by 7 is 1. When I simplify this, I get x equals 2. And again, I'm not going to I'm not going to say it's the answer till I check. So 7 times some quantity minus 12 equals 2. In this case, we're saying that quantity should be 2. So 7 times 2 is 14, minus 12 equals 2. 14 minus 12 is 2, which is 2, and my answer checks out. All right, let's go ahead and go to number 5. Trying to keep up with my numbers here. 8 minus 12x equals 32. Again, circle, include the minus sign as my variable term. I need to get rid of a positive 8, so I'm going to do negative 8 on both sides. That's going to add to 0. I'm going to get negative 12x equals 32 minus 8, and that's going to give me 24. Now, remember, I need my coefficient to be 1. It's now negative 12. How do you undo a multiplied negative 12? You divide by negative 12 on both sides. This is going to go to 1. I get x equals negative 2. And again, we're not going to say that's the answer till we check it. So I'll take just a moment to plug that negative 2 in to the equation. Simplify. 8 plus 24 equals 32. 32 equals 32. And that checks out. Okay, let's look at number 6. 0 equals 25x plus 75. So first thing we do is identify our variable term. That is 25x. What do I want to get rid of? The plus 75. How do I do that? Add its opposite to both sides. So minus 75 on both sides. When I simplify, well, before I even do that, remember 75 and negative 75 add to 0. Now I'm going to simplify. I'm going to get negative 75 equals 25x. Now remember, I want my coefficient to be 1. So how do I undo multiply by 25? I divide by 25. But if I do it to one side, I must do it to the other. This cancels to 1. And then when I simplify, I get negative 3 equals x. And again, we're going to check. 0 equals 25 times some number plus 75. We're going to say that answers negative 3. Let's see what that comes out to be. 0 equals negative 75 plus 75. 0 equals 0, and it checks out. Okay. Number 7 is 4c plus 16 equals negative 12. First thing you want to do, circle the variable term. After you circle the variable term, get rid of the number that's next to it by adding its opposite. Add negative 16 to both sides. Opposites add to 0. Simplify, I get 4c equals negative 28. Now remember, we want the coefficient of the variable to be 1. How do I undo a multiply by 4? I divide both sides by 4. This is going to cancel to 1. So then when I simplify, I get c equals negative 7. Let's go ahead and check by writing down the equation, substituting in our value, and now just calculating. Negative 28 plus 16 equals negative 12. Negative 28 plus 16 is negative 12, and it checks out. Number 8. 3n minus 9 equals 9. Circle our variable term, 3n. How do I get rid of a minus 9? Well, I'm going to do its opposite, so I'm going to add 9. Negative 9 plus 9 will add to 0. All right, when I simplify, I'm going to get 3n equals 18. I want the coefficient to be 1, so how do I undo multiply by 3? Divide both sides by 3. And then 3 divided by 3 is 1. When I simplify, we should have n equals 6. 3 times some quantity minus 9 equals 9. We're going to try our value of 6. Let's see what that comes out to be. 18 minus 9 equals 9. 9 equals 9, and it all checks out. Now, I went pretty fast because I'm just trying to get a lot of these examples in front of you. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to quit talking, but I'm just going to write the equation. After I write the equation, pause, try to do the problem. When you have an answer, if it's correct, just play so you can see how it came out. If it's not correct, play and see what you did wrong. Okay? Let's try that next. For number 9, we're doing 35 equals 3x plus 17. So how'd you do? All right, let's look at number 10. Okay, how'd you do on that one? Good. Let's try a couple more. Okay, that one was a little bit harder because of the fraction. Remember, if you have a fraction coefficient, you want to multiply by the reciprocal, because when you multiply reciprocals, then that's going to always go back to 1. Okay? Okay, how'd you do on that one? So the thing to remember, if you're doing a two-step equation and your coefficient is a fraction, just multiply both sides by its reciprocal. Remember, the reciprocal is the fraction flipped over. For example, for -1/2, the reciprocal was -2/1. The reason they're called reciprocals is when you multiply them together, they equal 1. In the case of the coefficient being 2/3, then the reciprocal of that would be 3/2. So again, how do I know that they're reciprocals? Is because when I multiply them together, I am going to get the number 1. And that's how we know what to do. Because remember, in that second step, we are trying to make the coefficient of the variable equal to 1. All right, let's go ahead and do a couple more problems. Remember, you're supposed to be pausing after I write the equation, trying it on your own, and then checking your work. Just make sure that you're always simplifying, guys, whenever you can. This doesn't look like it's going to work. Since it doesn't look like it's going to work, let me go back and look and see what I did. Well, notice that in this case, -104 divided by 13 is not just 8. It should be what? That's right, a -8. Let's try this again. All right, let's see if this will work now. -104 plus 50 equals -54, and that makes it -54 equals -54, and that works. All righty, let's try number 14. 14 is x divided by 3 minus 8 equals -12. Alrighty, so let's go ahead, circle our variable term, and off we go. Okay, ladies and gents, we did a good bit of numbers. I hope this is enough to get you started, and I'll see you next time.